I say put salt in these 5 places in your home, I'm not just talking about a kitchen ingredient. I'm talking about a symbol of purification, protection, and divine movement. I'm talking about an act of faith that shifts the atmosphere around you. Because when you invite God into your home, not just your house, but your home, you're opening a sacred space for miracles to happen. You see, salt has always represented something powerful. It preserves, it purifies, it heals, and it protects. In ancient times, people used salt to keep things from decaying. They used it to cleanse wounds. They used it in covenants, agreements that meant something eternal. Even scripture tells us that salt is a covenant, that it's something God honors. So when I tell you to put salt in 5 places in your home, I'm telling you to create a divine barrier. I'm telling you to mark your space with faith, to reclaim your atmosphere, to remind the enemy and yourself that God dwells here. Because the truth is, sometimes your environment holds energy that doesn't belong to you. Sometimes you walk into your own home and feel heavy. You can't explain it, but something feels off. The peace is gone. The laughter has faded. The arguments have increased. You clean your house, but your spirit still feels cluttered. You pay the bills, but you still feel bound. And that's when you need to do more than just clean with soap and water. You need to cleanse with faith and intention. The first place I want you to put that salt is at your front door, right at the entrance of your home, because that's where energy comes in. That's where people come in. That's where blessings and sometimes burdens cross your threshold. I want you to take a pinch of salt, speak over it, and declare, may only peace, love, and divine favor enter this place. Because when you bless your doorway, you are setting boundaries. You are saying, what's meant to harm me cannot cross this line. You're taking spiritual authority over your home. And let me tell you something, and God honors that kind of intention. When you claim your doorway, you're not being superstitious. You're being faithful. You're reminding yourself and the unseen world that you belong to the light. I remember the time when I first did this myself. My spirit had been restless. I was waking up tired even after sleeping. The atmosphere in my home felt off. I could sense tension that I couldn't name. One day an elder told me, baby, put some salt by your door and watch what happens. I laughed at first, but I did it anyway. I prayed over it. And I asked God to let his peace dwell in my house. And that night, for the first time in months, I slept like a child. I woke up lighter. I walked through my living room and felt something shift, not in the physical, but in the spiritual. That's when I knew this wasn't about salt. It was about faith. It was about action. It was about standing on what I believed. The second place you put salt is in the corners of your home. Corners collect things, dust, energy, and sometimes emotions that linger long after the moment has passed. Corners are where stagnation hides. You ever felt like your progress stopped, like no matter what you do, things won't move forward? That's often a sign that something in your environment needs to be released. So take a little salt, place it in each corner, and pray over it. Say, God, if there's anything hiding in this home that is not of you, I release it now. I declare this space is clean, spiritually and physically. You'll be amazed at how different your home feels after you do this. Sometimes we underestimate how much spiritual residue sits in our space, from arguments, from stress, from worry. You can't see it, but you can feel it. When you place that salt, you're symbolically clearing the space. You're telling your home, we're starting fresh. And God moves when you make room for him. He can't fill a cluttered space. He can't pour into something that's already full of fear and tension. So you cleanse, you clear, you make space for miracles. The third place is your bedroom. That's the most intimate place in your home. That's where you rest. That's where your dreams are birthed. That's where your peace should be protected like a treasure. But too often, people bring their worries to bed. They lay down with anxiety. They scroll through their phones, letting the chaos of the world enter their most sacred space. And then they wonder why they can't sleep, why they wake up with heaviness, why they feel disconnected from God. Put a little salt in a bowl, set it near your bedside, and speak peace over it. Say, God, I invite your presence into my rest. Let this room be filled with peace. Let every restless thought be stilled. That's not superstition. That's surrender. That's saying, Lord, I give you my nights too. You see, God doesn't just want to move when you're awake. He wants to heal you in your sleep. He wants to renew your mind, calm your heart, and restore your body. But you've got to give him permission. You've got to make the space holy again. The fourth place you put salt is near your windows, because windows are the eyes of your home. They're how you see the world and how the world sees you. Sometimes negativity comes through what we allow to enter, what we watch, what we listen to, what we meditate on. Symbolically placing salt near your windows is a way of saying, God, help me guard my gates. It's a prayer for discernment. It's saying, let only light come through these windows. Let only truth be seen. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a home where the air felt heavy, but when we prayed over those windows, things shifted. The sun felt brighter. The mood changed, because prayer changes the atmosphere. And God moves when you make a conscious decision to align your home with him. And the fifth place, perhaps the most important, is your heart. Yes. Your physical home matters, but your internal home is where everything begins. You can put salt at your doors, your corners, your windows, your bed. But if your heart is cluttered with bitterness, unforgiveness, fear, and doubt, then you're still blocking God's movement. Your heart is your home. It's where he wants to dwell most. So put salt there. Spiritually, that means forgive the people who hurt you. Bless the ones who walked away. Release the need to control what only God can handle. Purify your thoughts. Guard your words. Because your words are windows too. Your words are doorways too. Your emotions are the corners where things collect. And your faith is the salt that keeps it all preserved. Let me tell you something. When you start cleaning your heart, the way you clean your house, everything in your life shifts. The atmosphere around you changes. You attract peace instead of chaos. You feel light instead of heavy. And it's not because the world changed. It's because you did. You made space for God to move. Some of you have been asking God to bless your home, but you haven't invited him into your environment. You pray for peace, but your home is filled with noise. You ask for direction, but your spirit is cluttered with worry. Sometimes you have to take action, even small symbolic ones, to show your faith. When you do something physical, it helps align your spiritual. That's what this act of putting salt is about. It's not magic. It's not ritual. It's intention. It's obedience. It's symbolic of your willingness to set your space apart for divine movement. And when you do this, when you mark your home with faith, watch how God moves. He moves in your relationships. He moves in your finances. He moves in your peace. You'll notice arguments dissolve. You'll notice opportunities flow. You'll notice your sleep improve, your mind quiet, your heart steady, because peace is not passive. It's powerful. And when you claim peace, you're claiming dominion. You are saying, I will not let chaos reign in my space. You are saying, my home belongs to God. You are saying, no weapon formed against this house will prosper. That declaration alone shifts things in the unseen realm. You become the gatekeeper of your environment. You decide what enters and what leaves. And that's the beauty of faith. It's both invisible and powerful. It's something you can't see, but you can feel the evidence of it everywhere. That's how salt works too. You can't always see what it's doing, but it's preserving, it's protecting, it's purifying, it's working even when you're not watching. That's how God moves quietly, faithfully, consistently. I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow, walking through your home and feeling peace in every corner. Imagine your kitchen filled with laughter again. Imagine the tension lifting. Imagine stepping through your doorway and feeling covered. That's not a dream. That's the reality of a home aligned with divine order. That's what happens when you bring intention to your environment. Because let's be honest, we live in a world that pulls at our peace. Everywhere you turn, there's noise. So social media noise, work noise, family noise, internal noise. And if you're not careful, that noise follows you home. But your home should be your sanctuary. It should be the place where your soul exhales. So protect it, guard it, bless it. Put salt in those places, not because salt is magic, but because you are intentional, because you understand the power of symbolism, because you are declaring, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. Here's what I know. When you start to act in faith, heaven starts to respond. When you shift your atmosphere, your blessings start to locate you. God begins to show up in the smallest details. A call you've been waiting for. A breakthrough you didn't see coming, a peace that surpasses all understanding. That's what happens when you align your physical and spiritual. God moves in the ordinary. He moves through your obedience. He moves when you cleanse your space, your spirit and your soul. And every time you see that salt by your door, in your corner, near your bed, by your window, let it remind you God is here. You're not alone. You are protected. You are covered. You are blessed, because what you're really doing is saying, Lord, this is your home. Dwell here. Move here. Reign here. And when you make that invitation, he shows up, not just in your home, but in your life. He brings order where there was confusion. He brings calm where there was chaos. He brings blessings where there was drought. So yes, put that salt down, but do it with faith. Do it with purpose. Do it with prayer, and watch the peace of God fill every space of your life. Watch him move through your walls, through your heart, through your circumstances. Watch him turn your home into a sanctuary, your nights into rest, and your days into testimony. Because when you purify your space, when you claim your atmosphere, when you invite the divine to dwell where you live, there's no limit to what can happen. The miracles that follow are not random. They are the result of faith in action. You'll start to see how God moves, not just in what you have, but in who you become, because faith changes everything. And maybe all it takes to see that movement is a handful of salt, a word of prayer, and a heart that's ready to believe again. When you mark your home with faith, miracles begin to locate you. Faith is not just something you speak, it's something you live, something that shifts the air around you. It's not about reciting long prayers or performing perfect rituals. It's about believing that God is present in your space and acting like it. When you intentionally mark your home with faith, you are sending a signal into the unseen world that says, this place is covered. You are declaring peace lives here. You are letting heaven know that your address is ready for a move of God. That's when miracles start to find you, not because you chased them, but because your environment became an invitation for them to dwell. Faith changes the atmosphere. It turns an ordinary home into a sanctuary. It turns tension into calm, fear into trust, and doubt into assurance. When you place reminders of faith throughout your home, like salt, scripture, candles, or even words of gratitude, you are shifting the vibration of that space. You are aligning it with heaven's frequency. You are telling every wall, every room, every inch of that house that it belongs to peace, that it belongs to love, that it belongs to God. That's not superstition. That's spiritual awareness. That's you saying, I understand the power of intention, because faith without action is incomplete. And sometimes the smallest actions, like putting salt at the door or praying in each room, are the ones that unlock the biggest movements. Miracles don't just happen by coincidence. They follow patterns of faith, alignment, and readiness. When you set your home in order and fill it with faith, you are preparing the ground for blessings to grow. Think about it. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't just throw it on the ground and walk away. He tills the soil, removes the weeds, This is and creates the right environment for growth. That's what you're doing when you mark your home with faith. You're tilling the spiritual soil. You're removing fear, resentment, and negativity. You're creating a fertile ground for God's presence to dwell. There's something powerful that happens when you walk through your own home with prayer in your heart. Every word you speak becomes a seed. Every declaration becomes a doorway. Every expression of gratitude becomes an open window for blessings to flow in. And those blessings, those miracles, they find you because your energy, your faith, your atmosphere is ready for them. You've made space for them. You've created a home where the divine feels welcome. Some people wait for miracles to show up before they believe. But faith works the other way around. You believe first, and then the miracles start showing up. You prepare the place before the guest arrives. You set the table before the meal is served. You anoint the space before the blessing comes. When you mark your home with faith, you are saying, I'm ready, God. I'm expecting. I'm prepared. That readiness is magnetic. It draws divine energy toward you. It draws favor toward you. It draws peace toward you. It draws the right people, opportunities, and solutions towards you because faith creates motion. It tells the spiritual realm that you are open for transformation. There are homes filled with luxury, but still empty of peace. There are houses beautifully decorated, but spiritually dry. You can have all the material things you want, but if your home isn't filled with the presence of God, you'll still feel incomplete. That's why marking your home with faith matters. It turns a structure into sacred space. It fills the air with purpose. It creates an environment that supports your healing, your growth, and your joy. You begin to wake up differently. You walk lighter. You breathe easier. You start noticing small blessings, a moment of laughter, a call from someone you love, a bill unexpectedly paid, because your environment has shifted. The atmosphere around you now matches what your heart believes. Marking your home with faith doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as speaking life over your space, walking through your home and saying, peace lives here, love dwells here. Joy rises here. Sometimes it's turning off the chaos and letting silence speak. Sometimes it's lighting a candle and saying, this light represents the presence of God. Sometimes it's placing that salt at your door and saying, everything that enters here must align with peace. It's not about the object. It's about the belief behind it. You could put a pinch of salt or a single prayer. What matters is that your heart is aligned with intention. Miracles don't come to confusion. They come to clarity. They don't thrive in chaos. They bloom in calm. When you mark your home with faith, you bring order to your world. You organize your inner space and your outer space at the same time. You're telling your spirit, we're not waiting for life to get better. We're preparing for it now. That's how miracles find you. They find readiness. They find peace. They find people who already believe they're worthy of them. When you do this, you'll begin to see signs that God is moving. The arguments that used to erupt so easily start to fade. The heaviness that used to linger begins to lift. The same walls that once held your worry now echo your worship. You start to realize that faith isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about claiming peace while the storm still rages. Your home becomes a living prayer. Your walls hold memories of miracles. Your air carries whispers of grace. People might not understand what you're doing. When they see that salt or hear your prayers, they might laugh. They might call it silly, but faith doesn't need to be understood. It only needs to be lived. You're not doing it for them. You're doing it because you know the power of declaring that your space belongs to God. You're doing it because you felt what it's like to live under the weight of spiritual clutter, and now you want freedom. You're doing it because you believe if God can move mountains, he can also move in your living room. Faith doesn't always move instantly, but it moves surely. Sometimes the first miracle is not in your environment, but in your perception. You start to see differently. You start to speak differently. You stop saying, nothing ever works out for me, and start saying, God is working this out for me. That shift, if, is powerful. That's how miracles start to recognize your address. They hear your voice, your declarations, your prayers, and they come running because miracles are drawn to faith the way light is drawn to an open window. Every time you walk by the doorway where you place that salt, let it remind you of your covenant. Let it remind you of the promise that God will never leave your space untouched by his presence. Every time you see that bowl by your bed or that pinch in the corner, let it anchor you in gratitude, because gratitude is faith's twin. When you're grateful, you're saying, I trust you even if I don't see it yet. And trust is the soil in which miracles grow. It doesn't matter what kind of home you live in, big or small, fancy or simple. What matters is the atmosphere. A home marked with faith carries peace that no storm can shake. It carries light that no darkness can cover. It carries strength that no challenge can break. And that kind of home becomes magnetic. Blessings don't lose their way to a home like that. Peace doesn't hesitate to enter. Love doesn't struggle to stay, because the entire environment agrees with God's plan. You might have walked through seasons of lack, heartbreak, confusion, or sickness, but when you start marking your home with faith, you are drawing a line in the sand. You are saying the atmosphere changes here, and it does, because the moment faith enters, everything begins to align. Miracles move toward the sound of expectancy. They move toward faith that acts, not just speaks. They move toward hearts that prepare, not just wish. They move toward homes that invite, not ignore. Faith attracts the move of God. And when your home becomes a space filled with faith, you won't have to chase miracles. They'll know exactly where to find you. A peaceful home begins with a disciplined spirit. Peace doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It is created, nurtured, and guarded. It begins inside of you before it can ever live inside your walls. You can rearrange your furniture, light candles, or play soft music. But if your spirit is restless, your home will feel that energy. Your house mirrors your inner world. If your heart is filled with worry, that vibration moves through every room. If you carry bitterness or anger, that tension settles into the air. A peaceful home is not built from beautiful things. It's built from a heart that's at ease, from a mind that's clear, and from a spirit that's disciplined enough to protect its peace. Discipline doesn't mean perfection. It means being intentional. It means choosing what kind of energy you bring into your day, into your words, and into your home. A disciplined spirit doesn't react to every emotion that arises. It responds with wisdom. It knows when to speak and when to be silent. It knows when to pray and when to release. It knows that peace is not something you wait for. It's something you build daily through your choices. Every time you choose not to argue, every time you choose gratitude over complaint, every time you choose forgiveness over resentment, you're strengthening that discipline. You're saying, I'm not going to let chaos control me. I'm going to set the tone for my home. Oh, your home feels your energy. You've probably noticed that when you're anxious, even your pets act differently. When you're frustrated, your environment seems to tighten. But when you're calm, everything around you softens. That's because peace is contagious. It flows from you into the air, into the walls, into the people who enter. And when your spirit is disciplined enough to hold peace, even in chaos, your home becomes a refuge, not just for you, but for everyone who walks in. People may not even understand why they feel so calm in your space, but it's because your spirit has claimed that territory. It's because you've learned to guard your energy and keep your home aligned with peace. A disciplined spirit doesn't allow every thought to linger. It knows that not every worry deserves attention. It's trained to shift focus quickly, from fear to faith, from doubt to trust, from stress to stillness. That discipline is what protects your peace. You can't control what happens outside your door, but you can control how you respond to it. You can decide that no matter what storms are raging outside, they will not enter your sanctuary. You can decide that your home will be a place of laughter, prayer, and rest. That decision must be made daily because peace, like fitness, requires maintenance. You can't pray for peace one day and live in chaos the next. You have to practice it, keep it, and feed it. There's a quiet strength in those who choose peace on purpose. It doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're wise. It means you've learned that arguing, shouting, or worrying doesn't fix anything. It drains you. And when your energy is drained, peace slips away. But when you discipline your spirit, when you breathe before reacting, when you pray before panicking, you reclaim your power. That's when peace returns. That's when your home becomes a heaven. Sometimes discipline means walking away from things that disturb your peace, certain conversations, certain shows, certain people. You can't expect peace to stay if you keep opening the door to chaos. Protecting your peace might make you look distant to others, but it keeps you close to God. A disciplined spirit doesn't need to defend its calm. It just maintains it. It knows that not every battle is worth fighting. Not every invitation requires a response. Some things deserve your silence more than your energy. You can't wait for your house to be quiet to feel peace. You bring peace into the noise. You can't wait for the people around you to change before you calm your spirit. You practice calm till they feel your example. That's what discipline looks like. Not reacting to everything that's thrown at you, but responding from a place of strength. When your children see you handling stress with grace, they learn peace from you. When your partner feels your calm instead of your anger, the atmosphere changes. You start to see that one person's discipline can transform an entire home. Peace doesn't mean life is perfect. It means you've learned to create order in the middle of imperfection. A disciplined spirit chooses prayer instead of panic. It sets boundaries instead of pretending everything is fine. It speaks blessings into rooms that used to hold tension. It keeps showing up with kindness even when others are rude. It knows that peace is not found in control. It's found in surrender. When you surrender your need to control everything, you make space for peace to move. You let go and God steps in. That's the power of discipline. It reminds you that you don't need to manage every detail. You just need to manage your attitude and your energy. If you want your home to be peaceful, you must be consistent. You can't pray for peace one moment and gossip the next. You can't cleanse your home physically, but fill it spiritually with bitterness. A disciplined spirit guards what it allows in through the door, through the screen, through conversation. It listens before it speaks. It chooses words that heal instead of harm. It apologizes quickly, forgives freely, and moves on gracefully. These are the daily habits that build peace. You might not see the results immediately, but peace has a way of growing quietly. One day you'll realize your mornings feel lighter. You'll notice you don't raise your voice as often. You'll catch yourself smiling more. That's peace doing its work silently, steadily through the discipline of your spirit. You've been watering it with prayer, with gratitude, with calm responses, and now it's blooming, and everyone around you will feel it. Even the structure of your home responds to peace. Plants thrive, children sleep better, the air feels lighter. You'll notice how arguments that used to erupt suddenly stop before they start. That's what happens when you're disciplined enough to hold your peace. You create a vibration that pushes away confusion. You become the thermostat instead of the thermometer. You set the temperature. You don't just react to it. And yes, it takes practice. There will be days when your patience runs thin, when someone's words sting, when everything feels like too much. But even then, a disciplined spirit breathes before it breaks. It pauses before it speaks. It prays before it reacts. It remembers that peace is worth protecting. You'll learn that not everything deserves your reaction because your peace is more valuable than being right. Your calm is more powerful than your anger. That's the beauty of spiritual discipline. It teaches you how to live from the inside out. You start noticing how peace on the inside naturally brings peace to your surroundings. The home that once felt heavy starts to feel light. The tension that once felt constant begins to fade. You realize that peace was never missing. It was just buried under reactions, clutter, and noise. Once your spirit is still, everything else follows. A peaceful home doesn't happen by accident. It's built moment by moment, choice by choice, thought by thought. It's built by a disciplined spirit that wakes up every day and says, today I choose peace, even when emotions rise, even when pressure builds. That discipline whispers, stay grounded, stay centered, stay grateful. And slowly that whisper becomes the atmosphere. Your home starts to carry that same tone, grounded, centered, grateful. That's when you know peace has found its home within you.